roommate, whatever. You went to them and you said, I went through this day and it was... I imagine a lot of you said it was frustrating. You know, because it is hard when there's not an exact right answer and I'm asking you to do a lot of complex thinking. But it's really good for us to go through that as teachers because then we get a little sense of what our students feel like sometimes when things are frustrating and we don't get it and we want them to just give us the right answer and we don't want to have to think through it. And part of that is so it's good for us to go through that process. It kind of reminds us a little bit. I did go through your comments. And I pulled out some of them to share. They're all very good in general. They really were. But one of them, it says, I don't understand conceptual knowledge and get it confused with facts and procedures. That's a lot of us go through that difference of what is a fact and what is actually a concept. A fact is a fact is a fact. It can never be changed. 2 + 2 is always going to be 4. The dates of the Civil War are going to stay as they are. The dates and times of things will always stay as they are. The names of the states, the alphabet. Think of those things as facts. Anything you do with them, anything you do with those facts to create other knowledge is a concept. So if that helps you, concept. That might help you a little bit. But you know, it is confusing, and like I told you yesterday, some things are facts in one instance, and then when you use them in a different way, then they become a concept or a procedure. You have to think how you're using the facts. So I hope I've really cleared that up, or I made it totally gray again. That's good. This one was, how can we use this be used on a daily basis, a balance of rigor and digestion? I think on a daily basis what you would do as a teacher, if I were sitting in your shoes right now, if I learned how to use this well enough, and you're going to have to be comfortable with it, I go through my lesson plan books, and I make little marks on, oh, this is understanding. This is this kind of understanding, and I think it's this kind of knowledge. This is this, and just look at where your patterns are. And think about, okay, where am I spending most of my time? My guess is most of our time in school is spent on B2, understanding conceptual knowledge, or A2, you know, understanding factual knowledge and being able to apply it. That's where we spend most of our time. If you see a pattern like that happening in your lesson plan book, then make yourself get over to asking kids questions that are more analytical. And I don't care if they're preschool, I don't care if they've got an IEP that's this thick, you still can do those steps with those kids. You just have to remember you can and gauge your questions accordingly. Okay, another one I got was letters and numbers, where do they go? Okay, remember letters are the type of knowledge. So a letter, when you decide that, you're deciding what kind of knowledge it is. A is factual, B conceptual, C procedural, D metacognitive. And the numbers are, again, the type of cognitive process you're asking the kids to do. What are the verbs? What are you asking them to do? And you have to watch out, sometimes the verb that you're using isn't really what the kids are doing. Be sure you really look for that. If you're asking them to really interpret something, then make sure that they're actually interpreting. They're just not telling you back what you told them. That's kind of the trick right there. And that's where you start to getting into things being more rigorous and more cognitively complex. Okay, let's see, there was another. I love this one. You know, the one says, what is still rolling around in your head? Somebody did this. How to use all this info on lesson with success. It's a very good question. How to use all this. Again, when it's your lesson, just go back through it and look at it. Use that blue table. Look at the verbs that you're using and try to figure out where you are. And then try to look at where your assessments are. Do they align with that? And someone was very clever. B2 bombers, A1 steak sauce, C3PO in a fog about this. I thought that was very clever. Once again, there are letters and numbers that have to do with this, but I had to share that with us because somebody's very clever. Again, applying this to my content area, being able to match my teaching with the cognitive process and types of knowledge. Overall confusion, just need not to overthink. And the reason I picked that was because that's very important. Don't overthink it. And that's what my friends, because you're very good teachers and you want to be correct and you want it to be good, you tend to overthink things. Take it kind of at face value. And I said, again, go back and think about what you are doing. That's more important actually than what the words are, what you are doing. And you know, it is true that those standards can be interpreted differently. And nobody's going to come into your room and say, okay, today I'm going to help you interpret this standard, okay? And this is what it means. You have to do it. And the best way to do it is to sit with your colleagues if you can, if you're unsure, and have a discussion about it. What does it really look like with kids? Because some of those are written in a way that, I'm sorry, they're hard to understand. Okay, I just thought I'd share a few of these because they were very good and I enjoyed looking at them last night. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is, oh, you're just going to love this part. We're going to take a little quiz. So get out your blue cards because you need your blue